Fox 32 Chicago Sports. This is Chicago Sports Tonight.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Chicago Sports Tonight. Lou Canellis with you. Tina Wynn alongside from 670 The Score. David Haw in the house. Good to see you, Dave.
Good to be here.
Staying up. And from ESPN Chicago, Adam Abdallah. All right, guys, everyone and ladies, how do you guys feel about this Bears loss? How should the Bears feel about a game in which they lost 28-21 but had a chance at the very end?
Came down to the last play. I think if you're a Bears fan, you feel really disappointed. It is the Packers. The rivalry is what it is. But I don't think you feel devastated. I don't think you feel anything but a sense of encouragement, because while you wanted to win this game and while they were in a position to win this game, you realize that they're close. They have closed the gap with the Packers. There have been a lot more longer days at Lambeau Field than you felt today. So, yes, it was there for the taking, but they didn't pull it off. It doesn't mean that anything has changed. The same goals you had from an organizational perspective before this game still exist because you were that close.
They were right there, right? This came down, as you said, to the final play. I know first half for the offense, that was rough, but this team once again showed resilience, and I think at the end of the day, this loss against the Packers really showed you how far this team has come such a short period of time under Ben Johnson.
A loss against the Packers, Adam, at Lambeau Field after they played horribly in the first half.
Yeah, that's why I'm weirdly optimistic. Like, it doesn't feel good, like you said, David, to lose to the Packers, but the way you came back, the way you've been coming back in every single game, eventually that luck is going to run out, and the way you've been stacking these wins, and Caleb Williams has been Superman every single time, and he's been Houdini. They even showed the graphic of the magic. He's been pulling the rabbits out of his hat. Eventually that luck and that magic is going to run out. You were almost there. You were 2 plays, almost 3 plays away from actually beating the Packers. You've already beat them once in the year 2025. You get another crack at them in 2 weeks. So I think that the Packers are actually worried about the Bears now. I think that they're worried about the little brother. You're no longer the nagging team that's just there. They're actually worried about you now, and I think it feels different. I think the mood in Packerland, in Green Bay, is different. This is a team that the Packers have to be worried about now.
The rivalry is alive. I was listening to you all week.
Yes.
There is a rivalry again. By the way, because I want to go inside the Bears locker room to hear some sound. 4th and 1 at the Packers 14. Did you like the play call?
I've got some friends that texted me. They did not like it, and I understand it, right? It's because it's 4th and 1, get the first down. I think you had like 2 timeouts left too. However, it's aggressive, and it's Ben Johnson. Go for the end zone. It was a little bit difficult for Caleb Williams rolling to the left. He underthrew it a little bit, so I get it. It was aggressive.
Tell your friends it's the same play that worked against the Eagles.
Yes!
And it was a good call because you had 3 options. Caleb could have gone for the first down. Don't know if he had the angle. The Packers are very good defensively. Number 2, could have hit DJ Moore, who was open, and probably a little easier of a throw. But he wanted to go for the touchdown. I can respect that against the Packers with the stakes after having it work in Philadelphia. So you try to put it where exactly it needed to be with Cole Kmet. Wasn't there. He underthrew it. Great call, bad execution.
Just didn't execute it.
It was the right call. It was the bad decision. You had to either pinpoint that ball to Cole Kmet or you have to run. And
so you wanted him to run for the first down.
How about put your shoulder down? You're a big dude. Stop sliding. Put your shoulder down. Take a hit. This is football. I don't want you to be Jackson Dart. That's not what I want. But how about lower your shoulder a little bit and maybe take a hit and get the extra yard? It might help.
For the record, I'm fine with any sliding, Lou. I have seen Bear seasons derailed by injured starting quarterbacks. I've been here a long time. I remember Caleb Haney, all right? We don't need that. The Bears are still in a very good position. Keep Caleb healthy.
Yes. All right. The loss sent the Bears from the NFC's top seed to the 7th spot, with the Lions now just a game back.
We shot ourselves in the foot, I think, more than anything. And so, you know, I think that's where the frustration comes from. We had a great shot early in the game with the interception. You know, defense doing a good job, and then we kind of let them get going, and you know, they put up some points on the board, and you know, we had to try and rally it. You know, and it's not always going to work in our favor.
We're a good football team, man, and I think that's a really good football team. Look, it wasn't our best first half of football, but I thought we responded really well coming back. showing our brand.
Like I said, this team is resilient. We definitely still believe that we was going to come back and win the game. But it just, time ran out, you know what I mean? So, like I said, I don't think we played well enough in the first half to be able to expect to win that game. But like I said, we fought back all the way to the end, but just didn't come out with the result.
I think that is a winnable game. I think just little things that we got to do better. Again, situational ball we've been really good at, and we weren't good at today on third down, and then tackling better. Other than that, I think it was a really winnable game for us.
All right, Bears were the first offense this season to go into Lambeau Field and put up 21 points and 300 yards on that Packers defense. They did it almost all in the second half. What did you guys think? What did you think of Caleb Williams today?
I thought he had a great second half. I think the first half left a lot to be desired, obviously. He had less than 50 yards, I believe, passing the ball. I thought that the run game really carried the team in the first half. You know, I think that it was really the defense that kind of gave up this game. They gave up a lot of explosive plays. They were blitzing a lot, and that's kind of what burned them. Jordan Love burned them because they were blitzing, and he was taking advantage of that, and that's kind of what happens. If you blitz a quarterback that can take advantage of it, that's what he's going to do. He burned them a few times for touchdowns.
We'll get into the defense in the next segment. Dave, what did you think of Williams?
I thought Caleb was resourceful. That's his biggest strength right now. I feel like in the second half, he started to feel it a little bit. He's streakier than you would want him to be because the accuracy is one of his weaknesses. But I do think he's a winner, and he loves clutch moments. And you saw that in the fourth quarter. He brought his team back. He was leader, game manager, as I think Ben Johnson talked about. And managing the operation is no small thing, and I think he did that well in the second half.
Why do you think he had such a bad start?
Well, I think first off, Caleb Williams is a work in progress, and Ben Johnson is reshaping the way he plays the quarterback position. And I also think, too, in Ben's offense, there's a lot you got to process and think about before the snap. And I think at the end of the day, this is his first year in this offense. He's still learning, but you do see him put on that Superman cape because at the end of the day, he was one of the reasons as to why this team had a chance on that final play.
By the way, that 17-play, 83-yard drive that chewed up over 8 minutes was a drive of beauty. What happened to DJ Moore? Does anyone know where DJ Moore is?
Well, he had one catch for -4 yards, and I think Devin Duvernay had a better day than DJ Moore. Can't happen, especially with Odunze out of action with the stress fracture. That's a season-long question, though, Lou. Where has DJ Moore been?
I thought he would have stepped up a lot more today with Rome out. I think that if this is a couple-week injury for Rome, let's hope it's not. Let's hope it's just 1 week off to kind of get him right with this injury for the last quarter of the season, and you hope he's back. But if it's not, you've got guys like Luther Burden that can step up. But DJ, he's supposed to be a #1 wide receiver, and so far this season, he really hasn't shown it. Rome Odunze has proven that he's Caleb Williams' #1 target, and he needs to step up. And it's time for DJ Moore in this. If you can't have Rome, especially in a game like today, you needed to be the guy for Caleb Williams in those moments, and he just wasn't the guy today.
He's paid like a #1 receiver as well at $100 million. Still to come on CST. Our Bears discussion is brought to you by High Definition by Xfinity, introducing the 5-year price guarantee, one consistent internet price for the next 5 years. Guaranteed. David Haugh, Lou Canellis, Tina Wynn, Adam Abdallah from ESPN Chicago. Bears defense was tested by Jordan Love and Josh Jacobs. Bears will be the first to tell you that allowing those big plays to Bo Melton, the catch and run to Christian Watson, and then the Josh Jacobs 3rd and 2 where they couldn't pull him down and he busted it for 21 yards. Man, that was not good for this D.
Respect the way that Dennis Allen picks when to blitz and when not to. It has worked up to this point. But when you have a receiving core as deep and talented as the Packers is, you risk getting beaten one-on-one situations. And that happened today, and the Bears were burnt by that. Look at the numbers for Jordan Love against the blitz. They're ugly, they're gaudy, they're big. And that was the difference because the passing game for the Packers clicked because the Bears came after him too often.
But they knew going into this game that he was the best quarterback in football when it came to dealing with the blitz, and they still brought it. And you and I talked about it before we hit the air. I can't help but believe that part of the reason why they kept bringing the heat was because Kyler Gordon, just before the game, during pregame workouts, suffered a groin injury, and all of a sudden here's a guy that had been working out, practicing with the defense all week long, and they were minus his presence in that secondary.
Yeah, but I think so too. They've been without Kyler Gordon so much this season. But I just think when you face a Green Bay team like this with an offense with Jordan Love playing really good football after week 12, right? You look at Josh Jacobs, every time he got to the second level, he was breaking tackles. They had issues today just with the explosive plays there. Christian Watson, I believe, 2 touchdown day. If you look at this team, when the takeaways dry up, what is this defense going to do? The run defense has been an issue all season long, so there's still concerns here.
I know you're nodding your head right and left. Jump in.
Well, yeah, this is the problem. When you can't generate pressure against a quarterback like Jordan Love, or any quarterback for that matter. Yeah, they were great against the Eagles. They only allowed 4 third-down conversions against the Eagles, and that's what got them off the field. And it was great, but they couldn't do that against the Packers. When you live and die by turnovers, eventually you can only get one. When you don't capitalize off it and you end up punting off of that turnover, this is what happens. You can't live and die by turnovers. It's not something, they'll tell you that it's something that they practice and it's something that they preach up there, but you just can't live by them against these really good teams. And for the next few weeks now, you face the Packers again, you face the 49ers, then you face the Lions. You can't live off of these turnovers. You have to find ways to get to the quarterback, and this season, they just haven't done it.
Also, let's not overthink this. This was a one-score game. They scored a touchdown at the end of the first half when there was just bad communication, terrible execution, and they were in zone coverage. They weren't playing man. They just had a Jaquan Brisker thought that Kevin Byard was going to have the other half of the field, and Kevin Byard thought maybe Jalen Johnson was going to be there and float back. They haven't played a lot with Jalen Johnson in this season already. So you saw Bo Melton score a 45-yard touchdown.
And they were given good field position,
That's
too.
the ball game.
Yeah.
When you have a one-score game, we can talk all about how they wanted to blitz and it backfired. But when you don't execute the last minute of the first half, you are going to regret not being more sound.
All right, Green Bay was 8 of 12 on third down. 3 of those plays resulted in touchdowns. The explosive plays were damaging to the Bears defense.
We kind of knew that that was one of the keys to victory for us on defense, was limiting those explosive plays, and we just gave it too many in that pass game there, even in the run game as well. So, like I said, we knew what the keys to victory was, and we didn't execute those. So, like I said, it's hard to expect to get a win, especially in a tough place to play in Lambeau.
I think just taking away the explosive plays. I think really outside of that, I think we did a solid job. We got to do better on third down for sure. But other than that, they had a lot of big plays. So I think that was the biggest difference, just coming out with more energy.
What do you think this team learned defensively that will benefit them for the game on the 20th against Green Bay? Tina?
Well, Jordan Love is really good. I mean, he did.
And real accurate.
He did such a great job at finding those mismatches, holes. I also think, too, when I was watching, especially in the beginning, the defensive line, you had Montez Sweat, right, with the sack, which then GJ had the interception there. But the defensive line, those guys were having trouble getting set. And for a line that has trouble gaining consistent pass rush, you can't have that against a really good Green Bay offense.
Just tendencies, overall route recognition, and just the fact that they'll know next time maybe not to gamble when they gambled today. They gambled and lost too often. Maybe just positioning. It's just familiarity that I think when they see them on the lakefront, they may come out in an entirely different way. They may sit back and pick their spots. And Jordan Love, he has been very efficient this year protecting the football. He was again today, except for that one pick. But he will throw you the ball. He will make a mistake if you just kind of confuse him.
Got to put a little pressure on him, too. Other than the Sweat sack, that was the only time they touched him.
Yeah, he's had games where he's had to check down a lot. And if you can force him into games where he goes to his check downs a lot, you can beat him. That's where they've struggled in a few of these games. So if you can sit back, like you said, David, and make him go to those check downs, then you can beat him. It's just a matter of not selling out in the blitz. And if you do that, and maybe they do that in the second game where they don't sell out every single play, you can get to him and hopefully make him check down, and then you can force some turnovers or something like that.
Our NFC North scores and NFC playoff discussion. Brought to you by your Chicagoland or Northwest Indiana Kia dealers. Visit kia.com to discover movement that inspires. Week 14 scores. Lions beat the Cowboys Thursday. Detroit picked up a much-needed win. They're now 8-5. Commanders in Minnesota today. J.J. McCarthy returned after suffering a concussion, tossed 3 touchdown passes. Vikings win 31-0. Minnesota's 5-8. They're playing out the season. Even if they ran the table, it would take a miracle to get in at 9-8. Let's look at the standings now. As far as, there we are, the seeds. Rams back in the #1 seed slot. Bears drop to the 7th seed. Detroit's right on their heels. Game back at 8-5. NFC just a gauntlet right now. Teams in the playoff race don't have much margin for error. How many wins is it going to take to get in?
Well, I think that they're going to need to win at least 2 more games, and ideally 3. But, boy, life comes at you fast. Incompletion, you drop from 1st to 7th in the NFC. Lions are not going away. I think if you're talking about the Packers, you would have taken a split at the beginning of the season, and you certainly would take it today. So Bears, they can feel very good about their playoff chances.
I mean, at the beginning of this game with the Packers, the margin for error is so small that you see the Bears fall to the 7th seed. I think one thing, I'm kind of afraid of the Lions right now. I mean, there's some urgency with the team overall.
Injured, though. Brian Branch going out hurts them a ton.
Yes,
really hurts them.
But with Aiden Hutchinson and just the urgency, though, in defense, and Jahmyr Gibbs, too, his 3 touchdowns, I'm a little worried about the Lions. I want to be positive, and I feel like the Bears, I still think, will split with the Packers here.
You got to get to 11. This game against the Browns is probably the last one you're going to be favored in. This is as must-win as it gets. You have to get to 11.
We need to take another timeout. Still to come, the final college football playoff rankings were released. This man isn't happy. Notre Dame is out, and the Irish also refusing to play in a bowl game. We will preview the CFP bracket next. Welcome back. College football playoff is set. Notre Dame's out. Miami and Alabama are in. If you follow this man on Twitter, you know he is not happy.
Well, I think Notre Dame belonged in. They won 10 straight games by a double-digit margin of victory, and I would take them over Alabama with 3 losses. I know it was an SEC championship game against Georgia, but 3 losses are 3 losses. And if Notre Dame were playing Miami tomorrow, I'd take the Irish, and I think they're a better team. To have 12 teams in a tournament to decide college football is best, 2 of them are Tulane, no disrespect, and the other one's James Madison, and Notre Dame is out. We've got a problem with the system.
I don't agree. I do not disagree with you. What do you think?
I agree with David fully. I mean, the fact that Notre Dame is, I know they started the season off 0-2. They lost their 2 games by a combined 4 points there. But, I mean, they got better as the season progressed on. Alabama being in, for one thing, Ole Miss, too, not moving despite all the head coaching chaos there. I was a little surprised that Notre Dame was out of this one.
The committee basically told you that the 2 Big Ten teams and the 2 SEC teams could have showed up to their championship games, sat in their buses, and driven home, and nothing would have changed.
Thank you.
What they should have done is ranked Miami ahead of Notre Dame a week ago, because they beat them head-to-head, and then this would have avoided a lot of confusion. They basically listened to all the noise and then moved Miami ahead for doing nothing. And yes, Alabama should be out. They lost their championship game, and they looked bad doing it. At least if it would have been competitive, you could have made the case. They beat Georgia before. They lost to them again.
It was a blowout.
I know, it was a blowout. So then move them out and put Notre Dame in. The worst look for Notre Dame possible is now they're taking their ball and going home. We've talked about players opting out. How about an entire team opting out? That's insane.
That's a bigger problem. There are 3 other teams that have done that. I don't think Notre Dame needed to do that. I feel like it was an emotional decision and the wrong one. If you want to compete for a 2026 national championship, the best way to do that, develop players. The best way to develop players, practice. And you don't have any practice if you're not going to a bowl game. Northwestern's not complaining about taking their 6 wins to Detroit. Illinois is not complaining about playing in a bowl game. Notre Dame, you're not better than this. This was a bad decision.
Iowa State, Kansas State also said we are not going to the bowl games. And by the way, each school got fined $500,000 for saying no thanks. What do you think, Tina?
I mean, the small bowl games, right, it's because of the sponsorship, the TV deals, and, right, maybe the practice thing. But, no, I think they need to play.
All right. One other quick note I wanted to get into. Bulls got hammered today.
Oh, goodness.
123-91. Blackhawks, they weren't much better. 7-1, they lose in Anaheim. And my final question of the night, if the Bears score a touchdown there at the end and Ben Johnson goes for 2, was it the right move?
Yes, it would have been the right move because you're in that environment. You're commanding the second half. You're controlling things. You had to go to finish the job.
Yes. What do you think, Adam?
That's exactly what you paid him for. You paid him all this money because he's aggressive. He's the offensive mastermind. You're on the road. Your defense was giving up yards left and right and touchdowns left and right. You go for 2.
You agree, Tina?
If Ben Johnson's proven something to us this season, it's that he can turn the culture around quick, and he's also aggressive.
Battle number 2.
And he's not afraid.
No, he's not. Coming up on December 20th.